Hey everybody, I'm Amber,
And I'm Maddie.
and we're
Witches
Talking
Talking Tarot.
Tarot. And why do I feel like Delilah all of a sudden?
I love
What just happened?
Delilah.
In the evening. What was it like?
I love Delilah.
Something Delilah? Oh my god, I love Delilah. My mom and I used to take road trips, and we would listen
It's
to
the
Delilah.
microphone.
It is. Well, also, there was something about the cadence of my voice that I was like, oh, I feel like Delilah, which is great because she's got that real calming voice, which I think will be real good for what could be maybe an uncomfortable subject for some, because tonight we're going to talk about dealing with bones respectfully in your practice. Are we going to tell you what to do? No. But we're going to get on our soapbox a little bit, probably. We'll see how it goes.
I'm very curious to hear on what you have to say on this topic because I'm very conflicted in myself with this topic. Now, I am going to start out by saying I'm not entirely sure my full opinion on using bones or dead things in your practice. I am going to say, though, me personally, I don't think I would ever do it for a number of reasons. It's just not my own practice. Maybe this episode will change my mind. Maybe it'll solidify my opinion.
Right? And see, like, you know, when I say bones, I truly mean bones. I don't mean ivory, which I highly disagree with anyone other than elephants and rhinoceros having ivory. That said, I have also conflicting thoughts on the use of bones in my practice. Have I ever used bones in my practice? No.
Me either.
Can I say that I never would? No. Do you know what they call the bones of the earth? Stones and crystals. So, in a way, I already use bones in my practice if you're going strictly with words, right? Beyond that, I have a lot of thoughts about this. However, I would never hinder another who is conscientiously utilizing bones in their practice. And that's kind of some of the stuff that I will be talking about, what I think is conscientious use of bones in practice.
Well, I just have to mention this because we're talking about it, and I never even thought about this. I did not do any sort of research on using bones.
This is just on my own thoughts and knowledge.
What I do know is of one aspect of a culture using bones in witchcraft and in their craft. It's an African culture, and they believe that when you the soul resides in the strongest bone in the body.
Okay.
So
isn't that the femur? The thigh bone, is that the femur? Okay.
So when they kill someone or unalive someone, they will take this bone and they will
turn it into a shaft, or no?
They can turn it into a shaft, or sometimes they'll use it just to add on to like their backpack or whatever, because they're like, yeah, I killed this person, now I have their soul. Not okay. I don't that's one of the historical use of bones in practice that I can think of off the top of my head. And the reason why it stuck with me so much is because I was like, that's fucked up.
Well, and I will say, there are a lot of cultures that do make ornaments or jewelry out of bones of both animals and enemies, right? Or those they have conquered.
Drinking from the skull of your enemy is a thing that they did. I guess it's not really your craft, but I do remember the story of a princess. I can't remember her name. They conquered her city. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, if you could hear me like cracking my knuckles, it was a compulsion. I couldn't stop.
They conquered her city, and they brought her out to a feast because she was going to marry the man who conquered the city, and he had her drink her wedding wine out of her own father's skull.
I do believe I've heard that story, and
the use of bones in practice, I'm noticing, is a lot to do with power over another.
Well, not always, though, because there's the use of bones as sympathetic magic, because we used bones in sympathetic medicine in the Middle Ages. So if you had a headache, you'd be
Right.
given a tonic that was made out of the crushed powder of a skull, right?
Mhm.
And people would adorn, like, the catacombs of Paris are not adorned with bones to be like spooky or scary.
Oh
It's for
God.
reverence of the bones because you do attach some level of sentimental semblance of memory or memento mori to the bones, right? So, and this isn't witchcraft, this is just general
In
human
general,
practices,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, that said, I personally, again, like, if I used bones in my practice, it would be like bone readings, like actual bone readings with bones.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about because as a death witch or one that works with the other side a lot, I keep feeling called to it, but then I've got my own like hang-ups about it because, as we're going to discuss in this episode, right? Because, like, here's the thing. If you're obtaining human bones, you go to a graveyard, maybe you dig them up, maybe they have risen to the top.
Oh God. You're
I
disturbing.
don't feel like that's necessarily respectful.
Mhm.
But then how do you obtain bones respectfully, right? If somebody has like donated their body to science, can the scientists then sell said bones? And then if you're purchasing those bones, like, this is my hindrance. And this is for not everyone. I'm not telling anyone how to act.
Yeah,
I
this is
do
our
think we
own
should be
personal
respectful of the
opinions.
dead in
Yeah.
all times, though. And that's what inspired this episode
Well, and
discussion.
also taking bones and twisting them and manipulating them and turning them into something that they're truly not. I just can't. In my own personal practice, I just cannot.
You
I'm
know, I
sorry.
see people, there are artists,
Mhm.
predominantly Gothic and pagan artists,
Uh-huh.
that seem to make things out of bones. But then, so do the indigenous peoples of a lot of
Mhm.
places, Native Americans
Mhm.
make, they make, and it's not necessarily human bones that I
No,
speak
no, I
of
know
when
what
I
you're
say
talking
this,
about.
like, because they'll make the shaft of a knife out of like the forebone of like a deer
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, carcass, and to utilize all of it, right? And so, like, if it's,
I
here's my
guess
thing.
I
It's
guess
hard
that
for me
makes the
because
difference for me. Yeah.
I'm trying to find where my mental separation is
Mhm.
in when you're using this bone to make A versus when you're using this bone to make B. And with B, I'm not as bothered as I am with A.
I think I am less bothered with the use of bones if it is in an animal um that has been it when you
If it's been taken so that you can use the meat and then you're going to use
and you're
everything
going to
else.
use
So it's for
everything
nourishment,
else.
it's
Yes.
for the cycle of life.
Yes, that I think that's different in my opinion than finding,
Well, and
a dead bird on the side of the road and then decapitating it while it
people be
still
doing
have
that.
flesh on
And
its
no, they be
skin,
doing that.
and
Like,
then taking it
they
home
do that.
and letting it rot in a
Somebody,
jar
yeah,
or
no.
in a thing.
Yeah, no, somebody actually brought bird's wings to my house
Oh, yeah, no.
to put on my back porch to charge under the full moon. And I was like, the fuck?
Do I know this person? Is it Fran?
No, that's
Oh.
so funny,
Well, no, what she
though.
does is she just takes the dead and buries them. That's what she does. She will literally get roadkill after roadkill and bury them. Totally different. But I just feel like, or if you're seeing a dead cat that's partially like decomposed and you're going to go over there and just cut its head off so that you can keep the skull, that's not respectful to me. That's.
Yeah, see, this is
You
the
see what I'm
reason that I wanted to
saying?
have this conversation because it's
Yes.
not. Because, like, when they told me that they had pulled over and they had cut the wings off this bird, I was like, I was
What the
actually
fuck? That
horrified.
is that is
I was
psychopath.
horrified,
Like,
right? That was the first time where
okay,
I
Jeffrey
went,
Dahmer. I'm sorry. I
like,
do not mean to be
yeah,
offensive in this podcast.
not that like my morals matter more, but we
Right.
did that the ethics of witchcraft episode,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Because of exactly this kind of thing, right?
Right.
And
And
that
we're
was my
referencing
first
our
moment.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was my first moment of going, what are my morals and ethics in witchcraft? Because this felt highly disrespectful. I get that it was
Exactly.
roadkill, right? But then take the animal off the road and like put it somewhere that it can decompose. The ants can break it down. Blah 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 blah.
Exactly.
But instead, you're just hacking its wings off
Ugh.
because you want to use them in your practice. Whether it was I think they wanted to harvest the feathers. I'm not positive. I think they wanted to harvest the feathers.
Oh, enough said.
Yeah.
That's a damn crackhead. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
This is at the beginning of the crackheadedness, but yes.
But no, I truly to me again.
I was very uncomfortable. I did not like it.
Yes,
I
would
didn't
be
like
uncomfortable. To me, it's like it. There, to me, that's just so disrespectful.
It is. Okay,
It's
so let me preface
disrespectful.
this episode with, I know we're a little bit into it, but let me put out there for anybody who's a new listener or who's never had caught before that my view, me, Amber, the witch Amber, and the human being Amber, I have a firm belief of allowing things to be in the earth and decompose or do their job in the earth as they were supposed to. I am very against humans mining crystals or plants or all sorts of things out of the earth. I'm very against it. Okay, this is my own personal beliefs. Okay, does it extend to everything? I use firewood, sure do, because there are dead trees that are being cut down so that new growth can grow. Sure do use firewood. I do, because it gets turned into ash. It goes back into the earth as it would. Okay. That's fine. That's not me justifying, I don't think. Maybe it is. We live in a world of consumption. We live in a universe of consumption. Everything that lives consumes something else to live in some way, form, some way, shape, or
Absolutely.
form, right?
You have to survive, unless
Right.
you're gonna survive off sunlight, and then that's it.
Right. I was going to make a breatharian joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, you can't just like breathe and be like, I am fulfilled. I mean, you can, but you still need to eat as well.
Yeah,
Like, you can breathe and
exactly.
be fulfilled, but you're not going to be physically satiated.
Mhm.
And I also believe I run a kinetic energy. And yet, Maddie saw me eat earlier, so I do eat as well. Okay, guys? So I just want to preface this episode with those beliefs of mine because they do feed a lot into how I feel about the use of bones in practice, while at the same time not necessarily condemning the use of bones in practice. Because here's one of my things. So there's the harvesting of the bone, right?
Mhm.
If you're getting it out of a graveyard, how do you respectfully get a human bone out of a graveyard? I don't think that you can like sit there with the earth and ask like, can I take these finger bones that are sticking up out of the earth? And then get that gut feeling of yes and then take it. Like, I don't think it works that way.
I don't think it works that way. No, not with that thing in particular.
Now, some people go, well, it's my ancestor.
Okay, but you don't have power over them. You just because it's your ancestor does not mean it's your property. You
Right.
know what I mean?
I do agree with that.
Mhm.
And then there are some people that say, like, you need this ancestral thing to work in your bone reading or whatever, in the workings, that you like actually need an ancestral bone.
Should you be doing that spell? I'm just being a bitch.
No,
sorry,
you're right,
no,
because I'm
seriously.
torn. I am, because I understand the power that would be held. Just like we understand the power with using an ancestral
But
tool,
the power
right?
comes from taking something without one being able to have anybody's consent, and you would have to do it disrespectfully, in my opinion. I mean, how else are you going to go
Okay,
to
think about it like, okay, so if your ancestor was a practitioner, this is just a theoretical. Your
Mhm.
ancestor is a practitioner who, let's say in the line of family magic, they would have worked with bones themselves. I would think in that practice that, like, if my grandma, if she practiced bone magic, in theory, she would expect me to utilize her for bone magic, right? If she did, this just a weird, it's a thought that popped up while you were talking, and I had to put it out there because that, I would imagine that there are people now, right now, that are like, without this episode existing at all, that have already planned that their bones are to be allowed to be used by their descendants. I bet.
Oh,
If
I'm
it's you,
sure.
if you are one of these people, please comment. Let me know. I'm so
sure,
curious.
but if someone was like that, I'm pretty sure they would fucking say it. Like, yeah, feel free to use my bones.
Well, right, but like, what if, like, I never got to talk to my grandmother about the Great Depression. I never got to talk to my grandfather about, you know, his parents coming over to America, you know, like some people don't have the opportunity to have the grandparent conversations like that, you know. So it's like
If
if
it
in
was
theory
me,
this is the family line practice, so the assumption is the family line is okay with you using those bones. Let's say you can use them respectfully. It's a hypothetical. You can use it respectfully. That's the hypothetical.
no, I'd never do that. No.
Well, if hypothetically you can use them respectfully, there was no real question at the beginning.
No.
I think that's the only way you could hypothetically respectfully obtain an ancestor bone.
Mm-hmm.
However, okay, so then you say like you're using the power of your ancestors, or you're taking power over your ancestors. But like in some cultures, the soul leaves the body after 40 days. It's no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
So though the bone just is like a symbol, right? Versus
Mm-hmm.
holding the power of the person if their spirit
Then
is
why do
no
you
longer
need it?
protected. Well, because it's the symbolic of the family line. I don't know. I don't have spells. This is all hypothetical.
Why would you need it?
This is hypothetical. I guarantee. Comment if you know. I guarantee there are spells out there.
The only spells that I know that include ancestor bones, because I know of one specifically, are extremely negative. And like extreme. We're talking hexes and curses, because I do know.
I realize that's where you're going. I would imagine that ancestor bones would be very powerful in prosperity magic, because who's rooting for your prosperity the most? The fucking people that made you. Your ancestors are like, go descendant, go Maddie, go Maddie. It's your birthday.
I think they would be best with protection magic. That was what I would use.
Yeah, protection
100% protection.
I just see prosperity because your ancestors want the best for you. They really do. You are their dreams come to fruition. You are everything they ever hoped for come to life. Like truly, this is my belief, guys. So I think like prosperity, but I agree with protection.
I know people that do feel like they have and want power over their ancestors, because they think in their head that it is a army that they can call at their beck and call. In the spirit. So like for me, like having I already know. Okay,
I've never thought of it that way. That's so sad.
Let me just say it. I'll just be upfront, okay? Yeah. I already know of someone that has a bone of their ancestor.
Okay.
That uses it to control that ancestor. And I could see very much how someone could I believe
out of Hocus Pocus, the guy with the sewed up lips, the boyfriend Billy William, I can't ever remember his name, right? But the
guess it depends on the
Winifred's ex that cheated with Sarah.
It depends
and they just
on
like rule him.
The hands that the bone is in, I guess. I don't know. Okay, again, I would never do it.
This is a possible, respectful way to work with ancestor bones or human remains at all. Because unless your friend willed you their finger bones, I personally see no way that I didn't put my phone on mute. Sorry guys. I personally see no way that other than that hypothetical situation where you're from a family line that absolutely knows you're going to use their bones, so it's kind of just like a given. That's that, and your friend gives you their bones in their will, right? Mm-hmm. Or because I don't even think it's right to use somebody's bones if they died and left their body to science, because they probably didn't mean for witchcraft, right? Is that like, what do you think about that? Oh,
absolutely. I think a lot of people
is just a conjectural conversation.
That leave their bones to science, if they found out it was being used in witchcraft, they'd be so upset. They would be so livid. So upset. But I mean, we're talking about people.
And this is respect, man. That's what the episode's all about, yo.
We're talking about people bones, but
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Talking about animal bones specifically. Okay. I don't know how you would obtain them ethically, unless, like you said, and like we just talked about, you kill
if you're
it for
using
the meat,
the whole animal, and you're not just sacrificing an animal to be used the whole thing in witchcraft. That's not
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like if you fashion some kind of tool from their bones, or maybe you're using them for bone readings, right? But here's the thing. This is my caveat to that.
I know, I'm like,
the only way that I think that this can be respectfully done is once the bones have allowed their power to be used, once they're getting brittle and they're starting to crack, you put them into the earth and let them continue their cycle and break down, right?
Yeah.
Because they have given you a service for a time. I don't think that bones should be kept forever unless it's the case of like the antler that becomes a knife and it doesn't break down because it's taken care of and well used. But then I still have like, eventually you got to take the knife apart, right? Like, my thing is the disposal of the bones also should be done in a respectful manner, not just thrown in the trash.
Well, and my thing is like also,
It was a drunk conversation I had with someone one night.
Why are you why are you entitled to, and why should you have power from an animal or person who passed away to use at your disposal? Why? Now, the only argument would be like the ancestor.
Well, it depends on your intent with the bone magic, I guess, in my opinion, because a lot of times in when I think of animal bones being put on an altar or used in a ritual, it's more symbolic of what that animal symbolizes in this space, not so much drawing on the power of this animal's
when you use it as a
spirit.
divination or a divination tool, like you say ruins written, that's using the energy from the bones. Whereas putting it on the altar, that's symbolic. To me, that's totally different. But physically creating magical tools out of the bones that you found on the side of the road, or you came across, fingers crossed you came across and you didn't create this situation.
Right.
Why should you take magical power from a deceased animal that you just happen to stumble upon? You know what I mean?
I mean, I do, and at the same time, it's like one could argue, because this is part of the thought process that inspired this conversation. One could argue that you came upon the bones because the universe is offering you the ability to give this creature a little bit more time on this plane. They get a little bit more time to work in these energies. And then again, my belief is that once they have used, like, they've been good runes for you for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you dispose of them respectfully, right? Because I kind of had this thought process of, by utilizing this animal's remains, that maybe it got hit by a car before it ever got a chance to procreate and put its genes out there, which is what biologically the animal wanted to do, right? And that's probably why it was in the road to get hit by the car in the first place, because it smelled a scent and was going after a lady, right? So now you've come upon this animal. You respectfully harvest whatever from it. You give it the ability to have new life for a time. I don't know exactly if I would do that, but I can understand the process, because I was thinking about it. The ancestors did it all the time. The ancestors used bones
But
for
they
everything.
they used it and utilized the whole animal.
Right.
You know,
No,
that's what I'm
absolutely.
Yeah, so to
But
me that's
like with
different.
roadkill, this animal got taken out of the lifespan before anything could have happened with it, right? So you're using what is still viable of that animal by using the bones in that manner. You know what I mean? Like, no, you didn't go out hunting and then utilize all the pieces, but it was an animal whose life was ended too soon. And in very much the same way as if it had been hunted by a hunter. And like, you're giving life to those things, just like if you utilized your entire kill. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a valid thought process.
I don't know how I feel about it. Again, like I said, I don't know how I feel about making magical items out of harvested bones. I really don't. Because the whole goal is to have the energy from those bones so that you can perform whatever it is with your task, right?
Right.
Let's say you make a you come across a deer carcass and you make a wand out of it, okay? I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about just deciding, oh, that's for me to use. That's
Well,
kind of fucked up.
some people walk upon an acorn that an oak tree spent 18 months creating. Like the
Hmm.
acorn is the tree's
I
fucking
knew you were
baby.
going to use that.
Yeah.
I
And they
knew you
go,
were.
oh, the tree gave this to me. No, I
Mhm.
gave it to the ground.
Mhm.
But we do that and then we sit it on our altar and we let it go bad.
So what's
This
the
is like a
difference?
bone. Well, and that's where I'm going
Mhm.
with. This is a bone that has already had a lifespan and was ended too soon. Because I am thinking in the terms of roadkill when
Mhm.
this specific, right? The life was ended too soon. So we're giving the bones a chance to have some more energy on this plane before we respectfully retire them. Because for me, the respectful retirement of the bones is part of, in my opinion, one way you can respectfully work with bones. Because if you're going to keep them on your altar forever, then you are removing it from that possible
Mhm.
further part of the life cycle
Right.
where it breaks down and goes into the soil. Like with the acorn that you take off the ground that never got a chance to become a tree, it just sat on your altar forever. And then did you respectfully get rid of the acorn?
I
Did you throw it
mean,
away?
would it be
I
okay
mean,
to use the acorn on or to have the acorn on your altar if you're eventually going to respectfully give it away? I mean, that's
I
what
the
it's the
acorn
same
is
with the
brand new
bone.
life. It's not because the bones are gone life. They are expired life.
I
They are
don't know.
extinguished life. And that's where I see a difference because I do see a difference. The acorn
I
has a
think bones are
chance.
so much worse.
The bones have been killed by a careless human.
Mhm.
I
That's the difference.
personally am going to let nature take all of that because that's what I think. But this is my thought process on this is a way that one could respectfully work with bones
It's
because
a huge
a lot of
slippery.
people work with bones.
Well, it's a slippery slope as well. You know, you mentioned the acorn. Well, I mean, what is taking a clipping from a plant and putting it in a pot? People do that shit all the time. You know what
They
I mean?
do.
What is using crystals in your practice? People
Hmm.
use crystals in their practice all the time. It is the exact same. So, where is the line drawn for me? You know what I mean? So, it's like, okay, we're using bones. That's okay. Using acorns, not okay. Or using acorns is okay. Using bones is not okay. There has to be a set line. You know what I mean? Because you could
Well, I mean, this
argue that, I mean, picking a fucking flower and putting it in a vase is god awful.
I mean, you can't argue that, absolutely, because, you can appreciate the flower where it exists in
There's a.
nature,
Mhm.
and then you can take the flower. I bought a flower for my husband for
I
him
know
to show
there's a
her.
flower right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, there was a
Yes.
lady selling roses
But what
last
is
night
the
at the Monster
difference?
Ball.
You know what I mean?
Well, the difference is ending life. Okay, so everything other than the bones that you have come upon, because this is a hypothetical discussion about roadkill bones, right?
Mhm.
So the roadkill bones that someone else killed and then carelessly left, that have been picked mostly clean by crows and vultures and whatever other scavengers ate off of it, and now you're left with some bones for the most part. And these bones were already dead before you came upon them. The acorn was brand new life. The flower was flourishing life. The crystals, they came to the surface or you dug them up. There's a difference there too.
Or you bought
And
them.
obviously, right, or you bought them from
Mhm.
someone who either found them on the surface or dug them up. And I have crystals in my house. I have
Mhm.
stones in my house. I have hack stones in my house. I try not to take things out of nature, but when I take things out of nature, I put back into nature as well, which again is where, like I said, in my opinion, part of the respectful use of any of these things with the acorn removed, because the acorn is a seed of life. So it's an exception from all of this because I still think that the acorn should always be given a chance to become a tree, not sit on an altar for 18 months. That is my personal opinion. The acorn is life that can happen. And that's where the line is drawn for me. Like, do you want to end this thing that was worked on for 18 months?
I think that's
I
a
want to let it
very
flourish. But,
I think
you
that's
know,
a very controversial topic because I mean
yeah.
that's literally you realize so many people who practice witchcraft do use items found in nature, not
Uh-huh.
specifically bones.
Oh, yeah.
But
No,
I
I
mean
know.
it's a
But you asked me, like,
nature-based
where the
path.
difference is,
No,
and the
I know.
bones have already died. And for
No,
me,
I know,
that's where
but
the
I'm
difference
talking
is.
about what
Yeah.
you said. It's a nature-based
It
path,
is a
which means
nature-based
many
path.
people use nature-based items, removing the bones from it, because I'm talking about specifically acorns,
Mm-hmm.
flowers, herbs, etc.
Well,
I
we
mean, that's
grow the
coming
herbs to
up.
utilize them. So
That's
again, we
coming
live in
up.
like I said at the very beginning of this episode, we live in a world of consumption. I'm not talking about consumption because unless you're going to die, you can't avoid consumption. So
What
herbs we
define
eat.
consumption? Because we're talking about, you're saying like things we eat.
Well,
Well, if you're using it magically, you're using it, you're utilizing it. It's not
and
a
how are you
waste.
disposing of it? Because you keep not hearing the part where I'm
Well, who's
talking about
throwing their shit on their altar away? Who the
who
fuck
the
does
fuck
that?
doesn't clean off their altar and refresh it?
Well, yes, but who throws it away? I do not throw a single thing on my altar away. If I have something that goes in nature, it goes in
Unfortunately,
nature.
there
Because
are a lot of people that don't think about the
but
whole
also
cycle.
not even just that, but the magical connotations of just throwing something away that's
I
been on
think
your
a lot of
altar.
people don't think about it. That's why I like having these discussions because you think about it because of your practice.
Absolutely.
I think about it because of my practice and my beliefs. There are a lot of people because I see people make little videos and they sweep all that stuff into a trash bin.
That's
They're
insane.
not putting it outside like that little
Well,
witches talking tarot video where I throw my onions out in my front yard.
well,
And I really do
and it's the
that
same like let's say the flower right
for
here.
protection.
You throw the flower outside once it dies, well, it's
Yes,
gonna decompose and it's
absolutely.
returning
Yeah.
back to nature.
Yes.
So is it wrong to have that flower right there?
But that's
You know what I'm
you keep
saying?
not hearing the part where I'm talking about respectfully getting rid of it after it's run its
Okay,
course,
so then there's
which is
nothing
the
wrong.
letting it decompose. That's what I
Okay,
keep
cool.
saying.
Okay.
Except the acorn, because the acorn is the seed of life, and that is where the difference lies. Like if I'm gonna draw a line, the acorn is the line, I guess, because it's the seed of life. Everything else that you're talking about, if you're going to respectfully let it run its course with life, absolutely. I just think putting it in the landfill is very disrespectful. Like, I think throwing anything from your altar or any of your magical tools away into a landfill is very disrespectful. And that's kind of what I've been saying.
I know. Well, it just sucks because I mean the trash in the kitchen goes in the landfill. There's only so much that we can do. We live in a society where it's like
Well, and that's why
we
like
can do what we
composting is
can.
great, because,
Absolutely,
we're
but nobody lives a completely untouched,
right, which is why I
life.
started this episode saying like not talking about any of those things because we totally live in a world of consumption where you
Mhm.
consume things all the time, and I'm really only talking about bones of things that are previously dead.
So
Not that you kill.
right,
Previously
that's
dead.
very important. Now,
Like that was my
be
disclaimer
clear,
at the
when you
beginning and that's
say
still my disclaimer now.
I just don't think that in my own practice personally, I don't think I would use it. No.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm not talking about us using it. I'm talking about like the possible ways to respectfully utilize bones in a practice because I don't know how I feel about it. The only way that I can think that I would use bones would be in bone readings or runes that were made out of bones. But I couldn't keep those items forever because they have to run their course in my belief
Well, and
system.
it's also like to me, it's energy vampire in the sense that like you're wanting the energy from the bones of the animal that or whatever that has passed. You're using that energy in your divination. You're feeding off that energy of something that's dead. Is that not what? I mean, I guess
that's definitely
vampires
your
eat,
view on it, I guess.
like to me that's like eating death.
Yeah, I would never feed off of the energy of the bones. However, I see that the bones could be a very powerful tool to help one cross to the other side because
Oh, I'm
they
sure.
are a representation of
Yeah.
death.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feed, other than when I'm taking something into my body.
Mm-hmm.
I try never, like, I don't, like, feed on the energy like you're talking about. Like, that's not how I use
No,
things
I'm
in my
sure
practice.
not you,
So
but I
that's not
know
what I'm
there.
thinking about. Like, that's not where I'm coming from.
Unfortunately, I think a lot
Yeah.
of people that
This is
do.
what, good to have this conversation. I've never thought
Absolutely, and
about it
I'm
that
not
way.
talking about you
Yeah.
necessarily. Now, I do think a lot of people, unfortunately, that do magic in terms of death do feed off the energy from these items.
That
Absolutely.
makes me
I
just as sad
know
as
for a
Avatar.
fact
Oh, check out
that they
next
do.
month,
Yeah.
eventually, after we get through the movies.
I know
Avatar.
I know for a fact that they do. And
Yeah,
to
no, that
me
shit's sad. No.
that's not okay. That's
Well, that would
it's
be like, that's almost like having a thing that you're keeping alive just to, like,
fuck with
feed
it.
off of it. It's
Mhm.
like you've never seen the movie Seven, but it's like
No,
that one guy in
literally. No,
Seven.
that's what I'm saying. Like, to
Yeah, like
me,
that's gross.
because you said,
That
well,
is
aren't
not
you
how I
giving
think
it
about
a
it.
longer life? So that's what you had
Well,
said. But
I
is
said you're
that the
allowing
same?
it to experience the energies
Right.
because it's going to be here with energy
Mhm.
flowing through
Right.
it, not necessarily
For you to
from
use,
it.
though, right? For you to use, though. So
Like
you're.
when using it, yeah. Like
Yes,
when,
yeah.
well, I mean, depending on how the bones are. I guess if somebody had them set up in a grid, maybe they
Mhm.
just constantly have energy flowing through them. I don't know. I've never used bones in my practice.
Me either.
I don't know. But I mean, I guess that's why somebody would put bones in a grid. It would constantly have energy flowing through it,
Mhm.
whether it's feeding off the dead spirit. And I guess I can see that. I've never thought about that with bone magic, but I
Mhm.
guess, like, I see where you're
Like
coming
keeping the
from.
energy alive to continuously use it.
Ugh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
Fortunately, in my
think.
belief, I couldn't even do that because after 40 days, the spirit's gone from the bones
Well,
anyway. The
I
bones are
think
just a representation of death at that point.
it depends on the
For me.
practitioner. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm
Because,
just
like,
telling you
with
where
what
my
you're.
thought process with
No,
all
like,
of
because
this
with what
comes
you're
from.
saying makes sense. But if someone's going into it saying, oh, yeah, the energy in these bones are great, I'm going to use these for readings. Well, you're using the energy of the bones. You're keeping the energy going. It's just, to me, it's just like you're keeping something going just to use. And that's so sad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Although, I mean, I'm not going to digress and go back into the conversation we just had, but you could say that about all the things that were just brought up previously that weren't bones, like a couple minutes
Well, and
ago.
that's why I said,
Rewind if
where's
you
the
need to.
line drawn? Because, I mean.
But we do use those things like all the time that way. So that's why I'm saying, like,
We do, but
know.
you say you're against using those things, right? Or you're trying not to
And this
use those
conversation's not
things.
about me though. You're talking about the bones being used that
Okay.
way and guys,
But
you can rewind it if you want to know what I'm
no, I'm
referencing.
just so
But yeah.
curious. Like, where do you draw the line?
The acorn, like I said.
The acorn. Okay.
Yeah, the life. Like
Okay.
ending the don't make me out to be pro-life here because there's a difference between an acorn and other things. But the acorn's where I draw the line. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't
It just
necessarily
doesn't
agree
make
with
sense.
picking the
It
flower.
just
I
doesn't.
don't do it anymore, but like I did buy a flower. I've bought picked
Right.
flowers. I have because community and supporting community, and that is what it is. Because, like, she was selling flowers, I was doing readings. She paid me for a reading, she was leaving. I was like, I'll buy a flower because my husband's being sweet and, like, my chauffeur, so I've gotten to have 3 amaretto sours tonight. And I bought him a flower.
I think
Yeah.
that everybody's path is unique, and
Oh,
what you
yeah.
believe is what you believe.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm just talking
Um,
about the respectful use of these things. If people do use them, you know,
mhm.
because like I'm not talking about me using them because I've never been drawn to it. I've only recently thought about it with the possibility of bone reading. But junk readings are just as great because you don't have to use bones.
From my experience, the only people that I know that have used bones in magic have used them for negative things. This is my experience. I'm not saying they are entirely for that. Unfortunately, I do think the people that like to perform negative magic are drawn to that thing. Whether it's because they want to be edgy and cool
Right.
and be like, yeah, I'm using bones to do this one. You know what I mean? Or if it's because of of a dark energy that kind of holds on to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
In my experience, I have seen I've seen some pretty fucked up shit.
Well, and it's funny because like our experiences definitely color where we're each coming from with this because I've only known a couple of people that use bones in their practice. One of them worked with the Virgin Mary.
Mhm.
Um, None of them use the bones for negative things.
Mm.
Like they've only used them for like nature-based love and light kind of stuff. And so like I haven't thought about using it to have power over a dead person, although we did
Mhm.
talk about that in
Yeah.
our necromancer
Yeah, we
episode.
did.
Um, I've never thought of it that way. And I
Mhm.
mean that's what colors my end of this
Right.
conversation versus yours.
Well, and it's
And I
not.
still find it icky. Like I'm not all
I
about it.
think it's just like you said. It's our experience
Yeah.
because it's just
That's
it has definitely peppered my viewpoint
yeah.
on using bones.
No, I get that. And if you've only seen something in a negative light, then you're not about it. Like guns.
Mhm.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
seriously,
Yeah.
right? Like some people are like against guns, and then other people who grow up in like areas where hunting's a thing, they're like, there's nothing wrong with guns. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
It's
Exact.
like
That's
the
actually
same
a
exact kind of thing.
fucking perfect way to describe that.
Yeah,
100%.
I think so.
I wish I had
Because I hadn't
better
thought about it.
experience
Yeah.
um with people using bones or bones being used in practice. Unfortunately, I do not. Um I am not saying, please, I want to be very clear. I am not saying that I think everyone who uses
Yes.
bones in their practice is wrong. I'm
Right,
not
right.
saying that at all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not saying I think using bones in your practice is you know what, I am going to say it's dark, but there's nothing wrong with dark energy. It is a
Yeah.
dark energy, but you got to have the yin to your yang or the
Yeah.
yang to your yin.
Yeah.
So to me dark does not equate to good. Or
Right.
I'm sorry, does not
Yeah.
equate to evil. It
Right.
is a darker energy.
Yeah.
But it is not an evil energy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have not physically seen it done in a positive light.
Fair. Fair.
And
Like, because like you at the beginning of the episode, you mentioned taxidermy, and I wanted to be like, I don't have any, but like because my dad sees me the way he sees me, I do. I don't personally have it, and one of my daughters adopted it because I kind of screeched when I opened it, but I have a taxidermied bat. I think there might have been two bats on the thing. I don't know. My daughters adopted it because I was like, and my dad was like, "What, Miss Halloween? You don't like this?" And I was like,
no.
this is not my kind of art, Dad." Because it was art.
Mhm.
It's taxidermied in a wooden frame that is painted
Oh, I'm
like
sure I've
teal.
seen beautiful art.
It's almost like the same color as my house, and then it's got
Mhm.
white lace. Like it
Mhm.
matches my house,
No, I've
and
seen
it's
beautiful
taxidermied.
taxidermy art. I'm just not one for one.
Uh,
Also, I'm just saying, I've seen people make they'll take a taxidermied fox and then they'll put taxidermied eagle wings on it and then they'll put a different I'm like, okay, if this was the 1800s, your ass would be fucking dead.
or famous
I mean,
for
what
discovering the first like griffin or something.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like my daughters do not have much of an aversion to
Mhm.
these things, you know? Like my youngest has a collection of bugs. Like an actual collection of bugs. Um yeah, anyway, so it's like it colors my perception a bit too
Mhm.
because like these aren't people that would be like cursing someone and
I
some,
wish
you
I
know
could
what I
talk more
mean?
about my experience on the
Right,
podcast, but
but
I
accuse
just
yeah,
don't
no,
feel
no, no, no,
comfortable.
no. Yeah, no, I'm just saying like everybody's got a different itch,
Mhm.
and like it's like I don't want to yuck someone's yum unless you're like a really evil, icky person who's harvesting the bones from living things.
That's fucked up.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I
I
guess like
guess
yeah,
I guess I'm
because we
gonna
don't have to agree with you using it for you to use it in a
right.
practice. I just ask,
I
not that you have to
guess
do anything I ask, but like do it respectfully.
I guess to end this episode because we are coming up on
Yeah.
45 minutes. Long story short, my opinion, because this conversation has been really nice, is I think it's okay to use bones if you are harvesting the animal to, if you are doing what the Native Americans did and you are hunting and you are using this animal and you are eating it and you are using the fur and you are doing all of that and then you use the things, to me that's different as opposed to randomly harvesting something that was once alive that you decided, no, I want your bones, because that's fucked up. Finding something on the side of the road. So, am I entirely against using bones in spiritual practice? No. As long as it's done ethically and respectfully.
Yeah.
That's my version of ethically and respectfully. That's just my personal opinion.
Fair. My view on it
Uh-huh.
is if you are ethically and respectfully utilizing the bones in your practice for a time. Because in
Oh, that
my
too.
view,
Let me just say that too, because
Yeah.
I agree with that.
yeah, because in my view, part of that ethically and respectfully piece is you are allowing the bones to continue their journey after they've served you for a while. You've
Right.
utilized them, they got a little bit more life, and now they get to continue their journey through the realms of whatever needs to happen with them. You
I was
know
just
what I
thinking,
mean?
imagine burying some ruins made out of like the
And then
bones
they
and
like
this.
calcify and somebody finds them
I
for 100 years.
know. Yeah. Not even 100 years.
Scar!
Not even 100 fucking years. Somebody finds them like 5 days later somehow. Like
I'd be
it
pissed.
rained. It rained.
They'd be like, "Oh my god, this is some historical shit."
Oh
No, it's
my
not,
god, how
bro.
embarrassing. We're talking Peggy from King of the Hill
Right?
digging up the fucking yard. Oh my god. These
Oh my
belong to an
God.
ancient Native American. It's Amber the Slav down the road.
That would happen. That would be so funny.
But I
They,
think
let them live their life
Mhm.
and then continue on. And I don't think that harvesting roadkill is unethical if you are A, leaving everything to the earth other than the bones,
Mhm.
B, being respectful of the creature that you are going to utilize the bones of, and C, are not the asshole that carelessly killed it. Because I see so much roadkill.
Mhm.
It makes me so sad to watch what happens as people continue to drive over it.
Oh, it's fucking awful. It's so sad.
It becomes this pulp.
Now I do want to say,
So
in
seeing it get
addition
a little bit of life, it just makes me feel a
in
little better, I
addition to
think.
what you say, make sure if you're harvesting roadkill, as you must,
Do it safely.
do
Get it out
it
of the
safely.
road.
Get the fuck out of the
Get a
road.
shovel, move it out of the road,
And
don't handle it.
And don't risk your life.
Yeah, don't risk your life, but also gloves and a shovel, bitch.
Yeah, seriously.
And a plastic bag.
Oh yeah,
Disease, honey.
Mhm.
Disease. You don't want to be the next bones harvested.
Oh god. With that being said, you can catch us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Witches Talking Tarot. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. This was definitely one of our longer episodes of the season.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments.
Please do. And, you can let us know that you really love Witches Talking Tarot by becoming one of our patrons on Patreon for as little as $6 a month. Go to patreon.com/Witches Talking Tarot. Big shout out to our current patrons. Thank you to Victoria.
And Death by DVD.
And then you can find us on the X at Classiest Witches because we are the classiest witches you know.
Bye.
Thanks for coming to sit for us, Belle.